Hello, my name is Dr. Dwayne Smith, and I am the CEO of Housatonic Community College, located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And I am excited, I am ecstatic about this podcast that I am having to share with you, which is called The Journey, Stories of Triumph. And in these podcasts, we will talk with different types of individuals from all walks of life. But the main thing is that they have a story, and that story is of a triumph. And so I hope that you will join us. I look forward to seeing you. I like to begin this story of triumph with my own personal narrative. And so for me, I am a person who shouldn't be here, really, in terms of when you think about my background, the things I've gone through, but it just sometimes overwhelms me when I think about the journey. And so I would take my journey back to the west side of St. Louis. And the west side of St. Louis was a very challenging neighborhood. I just call it horrific poverty, just always having lack. But even before then, my mother, she was a daughter of sharecroppers. And if you understand sharecropping was what African Americans did right out of slavery. And so basically they didn't own anything. And so the white farm owners, they allowed African Americans to use their land, and then they will give them money at the end of the season. So oftentimes these black farmers were cheated, and so they were in this perpetual servitude. And so that is what my mother grew into. Even though my grandfather, he was never cheated, they were cheated out of education. And so the white school board decided in my mother's small town of Tugweiler, Mississippi, that African Americans didn't need a 12th grade, and so they cut the 12th grade, essentially meaning that not one black person in that town graduated with a high school diploma. But even so, most people at that time, African Americans, they didn't even go to high school. They actually graduated, or didn't graduate, but they went to the 3rd grade. So my mother was so passionate about education that she finished the 12th grade twice. Not 11th grade twice. She finished the 11th grade twice. But even then, the school year was truncated because they picked cotton. But she had this firm belief in education. So fast forward, so we're in St. Louis, and she has 7 kids, very impoverished, on welfare, on food stamps. There was always a situation where there was never enough, but she so believed that her kids needed to be educated. And it paid off big time. So it's 7 of us, and we have over 10 college degrees. 10 college degrees. And you think about just the work that my mother had to put in order for her to achieve this. And I just remember how my brother, he was the first Smith to graduate from college. We trace our lineage back to 1820. But then things started shifting for my family. And so even though we grew up in this building that was condemned, basically not fit for human habitation, I should say, he bought my mother a brand new house. And so that whole notion of education being the transformative power in one's lives was instilled in me at an early age. And so even though I went off to college pretty unsure and really not prepared for college, there was something inside of me that I felt that this experience would make a difference. I often talk about how transformative my freshman year was, and I believe that it was at that point that the trajectory of my life changed. And so I want to go back a little bit. So I was very passive and didn't have a voice growing up because just different things. It was a really rough environment, and so I never spoke out on things, and to be honest, I just wasn't looked upon as a leader. And so when I went off to school as an 18-year-old, I found my voice. And it was through the faculty. Even today, 41 years later, I remember my faculty, my professor in English composition, Dr. Clayton Halstead. And we had this book entitled The Language of Argument, and it basically spoke about how we need to be more of critical thinkers. And what happened is it just locked into me, and I found my voice. And then there was my opportunity to be part of student activities and then engaging with people who were unlike myself. In that freshman year, I literally came out a different person. I just remember I used to catch the bus quite often, and I became this activist, and I would speak out. And I remember on the bus with my sister, and we were on this bus line, and the bus driver was driving erratically, and I yelled out to the bus driver, "Hey, you got some people back here?" And my sister was stunned because I never spoke out, and so the bus driver said something up front because everyone started laughing. So I went up to the bus driver and let him know that I was going to report him, and the bus driver's like, "I don't give a hell," and so I remember just dressing this bus driver down for being so disrespectful to the occupants on the bus. And I did it another time, and my sister was just like, "What has gotten into you?" And I realized, you know what, this is who I am now. And so that freshman year, and there's some other things that kind of went on, but basically I know for sure that freshman year, that first year, is so pivotal in the lives of scholars who come to campus. And unfortunately, most schools lose most of their students out of the 4 years. It's that freshman year. So for me, I can reflect back on the success that I had in my freshman year, the student organization, the lifelong friends. I have friends that I met in my freshman year in college, and we're friends over 40 years later. So it's a lot of things that took place, but the main thing is that my mind shifted to this one thing, that I can do anything if I put my mind to it with grit and determination. And that was proven time and time again during my undergraduate years. I've been extremely fortunate, and I would even say blessed, about how my life has unfolded. So when I think about like triumph, I think about someone, I'll just speak personally. I believe that triumph for me means that I have been able to overcome circumstances, situations, to plow through, to persist, to have grit no matter what the situation is. And there have been so many ups and downs in my career, but I would say there have probably been more ups than downs. And I've had opportunity to go on to earn my PhD. I was the first in my family, meaning my lineage from 1820, to earn a PhD, and that was in over 180 years. That's meaningful for me. And of course, I have cousins and other relatives who have PhDs, who are doctors. I mean, all types of career choices, but I just feel strongly convinced that it was those experiences, those difficult experiences, that moved me to a level of triumph. Being able to travel globally to talk about issues of diversity and access. I did some work in Great Britain, going to Ghana, and even being a Fulbright scholar brings things in full circle in my life. And I just believe that growing up as this little poor black boy in the west side of St. Louis, to be on my second college presidency is profound, but yet there are so many of our scholars that can have these same opportunities. And so that's why I'm here, and that's why we'll always continue this journey. Thank you for joining me on my podcast, The Journey, Stories of Triumph. And please follow me on my social links, which will be in the description below. Until next time.